Hello.
Hello.
I'm Emma Rice.
And I'm Simon Baker.
And we're already a bit giddy because we've had to do this intro 4 times because we're dim.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, one of us is. Everybody can make up their own mind.
Answers on a postcard. Hello, everybody. We are, as usual, we're at home and it's Sunday. The only time we get a little bit of space to do these lovely podcasts. And we realise we're really, really behind in telling you some of our news. And more importantly, because you will have known the news, is what's behind all those stories. So this is absolutely a catch-up podcast from... Simon, what's the podcast from?
What's the podcast from?
Is it Wise Children or is it the Emma Rice Company?
Well, you raise a very good question. At the moment, it's still the Wise Children podcast.
Well, I like that, though, because I like how stories evolve in life and how people evolve and teams evolve. So I like a little bit of the DNA of Wise Children left in the company. I think we should keep it.
We're still there at Wise Children at the moment. I don't really want to start again, so I haven't changed the name. We've changed the name on absolutely everything else, though.
Well, then, welcome to the Wise Children podcast. I love it.
Well, the only question we can ask next is, so have we changed our name?
Funny you should ask, Simon. Yeah, we have. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk to you about today, because it's been quite a long process changing the name. But in some ways, I can't look at Simon when I say this. I was about to say it's quite a simple process, but it was for me. But I think what Simon had to do, which we'll get onto, was anything but simple. But shall I tell the story?
Yeah, please.
Well, the story of the name The Emma Rice Company, or actually it's Emma Rice Company, there's no the, really goes back. It goes back a long way in my life, but also the life of theatre and theatre companies. And I suppose it's worth saying that I used to work for the most amazing company that ever existed, Knee-High Theatre. We changed it back to Knee-High. And we hated that name at Knee-High. We resented it all the time because it came from knee-high to a grasshopper. I think when Mike Shepherd started it in 1980, I think he did like a year of school's work. But then we went on to do nearly 40 years of really cutting-edge, adult, family, work that really, really couldn't be described as being as simple as children's work. And we still had to answer questions about it all the time. And we were advised that once you had established a brand, you cannot change it. We asked several times, can we change the name Knee-High? I think I was once we were doing a Nick Dark play called Hell's Mouth, and we were doing it in the clay area of St Austell in the open air, directed by the amazing late Bill Mitchell. And we had a motorcycle gang going round it, and I was playing Antigone, and I was literally submerging myself in the clay pits of St Austell and pulling out the bones of my dead brother. And I was doing an interview about it. I think it was quite a fancy interview, and they kept saying it's, so where are you doing it? And I was saying, a clay pit. And the interviewer said, so it's a children's production. I said, no, it's Antigone, it's Hell's Mouth. It's in a clay pit. And they said, so it's for children. I said, no. Which bit of Antigone and site-specific in a clay pit you're not understanding? And she said, but what are you doing it in a play pit for? I'm like, it's not a play pit. But I think the word association, I think when you've said knee-high to a grasshopper, the word association drops in. So fast forward to my leaving the Globe. I've talked about it before, but I had a very, very small window of time to decide what I was going to do with my life when everything went wrong at the Globe. And it was really clear to me that I was going to start a company. I didn't want another building. I didn't want to go freelance. I love touring and I wanted to start a company. And what's a little bit interesting is it did not cross my mind to name the company after myself at that point. Not a single thought to call it Emma Rice Company, which maybe is interesting, maybe not. And I knew really, really immediately that I wanted to call it Wise Children. And nobody pushed back. I think I'm quite I'm quite a force, aren't I? So if I say I want to do something, the people around me tend to let me. But it was a brilliant name because it was based on this magical book by Angela Carter that I went on to adapt, direct, and was our first show. And that book is a love letter to theatre. It's about the cost of theatre, but also the absolute joy of theatre. The line that goes throughout it is what a joy it is to dance and sing. And it's also been about on the wrong side of the tracks, which I really felt like I was in those awful Globe years, in the aftermath of the Globe. So I felt these two words were perfect. Wise, because I was going to be smart, I wasn't going to get sacked again. And children, because I wanted to keep my innocence and keep my silliness. So job done, lovely name. Cut to, well, first of all, there's the joke that goes around the company, isn't there, that it was Wise Children does Wise Children, based on a book by Wise Children, adapted by Emma Rice from Wise Children. So there was a bit of a joke about how many times you could say Wise Children in a sentence, or indeed on a poster.
Yeah.
But still didn't really think about it. And then cut to, it was probably about a year ago, we had a company away day, a staff away day. And we were actually talking about our training programme. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much, but actually this is what happens in a company. We were talking about the training programme, and I just love a sort of clever, witty bit of wordplay. So at that point, we were calling our training programme the School for Wise Children, even though it was for 18 and up. So we've got the word school and children in a sentence. And then we had one course for second year drama students, which I called the Pick and Mix. Yeah. And then we had an open residency summer course for working actors, which we called Summer Camp. Yeah. So we ended up, and we were delivering these training programmes in our chapel called the Lucky Chance. So we were the School for Wise Children, run by Wise Children, do the Pick and Mix at the Lucky Chance. And there were so many words, and nobody knew what on earth we were doing. And if you were going to unpick that, it looked really silly. It looked like we were working with children. It looked like we were not serious. And in fact, it was one of our team members, it was Steph, wasn't it, that said, I think we should be really proud. You know, we do a really amazing thing at a really high level. I don't think we should be, making a joke about it. So in the wake of that conversation, we changed the School for Wise Children to the training programme. And that was quite liberating for us because I think for me, I felt it was a little bit boring at first, the training programme. But actually it is what it is. It says what it is. And that's worth its weight, isn't it, in marketing and communication. Yeah. So we weeded out all the silliness through the training programme and made everything feel really simple. The open residency, our educators' residency, and our drama school's residency. So suddenly everything was looking good. And I think it was really in that staff meeting where I said, does anybody else have any trouble with the title Wise Children? And very gently and softly, it became apparent that every department was having to explain, not struggling, but having to explain what our name meant. Yeah. So Poppy was talking about selling shows abroad. Yeah. And in America, they're just like, so it's a children's company. And our fundraiser, Helena, was saying, when I'm talking to funders, I'm having to describe that it's not for children, it's for people over 18. And it was an absolute no-brainer. I mean, you can't hear that feedback and not make a change. And then I had a mad half hour when I thought we should be called Nights at the Circus, another Angela Carter's book. What was the problem with that?
Too endless to go into. Wasn't there? I think there was another name as well, wasn't
Company
there?
of Wolves.
Company of Wolves.
But we're not a Company of Wolves, and we're not a circus company. And then it was me. I said it should be called the Emma Rice Company because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we took that idea to the board. They were very excited. We had no pushback. Nobody said, keep the brand.
No.
And in fact, I'm going to cut to the end of this, but absolutely nobody has mourned the loss of not the two words or the book or the spirit of Angela Carter's amazing novel, but as a theatre company, the name Wise Children has been met with universal support, hasn't it? It feels really weird for me because it feels egotistical. I love that little... Does it? I feel that it's quite counter to not only my belief, but the reality that the work is made by an amazing team. But I hope that the word company covers that we are a company. We toyed with ensemble, didn't we? The Amorice Ensemble.
Yeah,
but that got a little bit of feedback that it sounded a bit pretentious. And if you're going to change your name, you just don't want anybody to have anything negative to say about it. So I think we did a good thing. But that's the and then we launched it to get to the end. We launched it in September.
Yeah.
And it went without a hitch, with a lot of support. And actually, we didn't have to explain it, because actually the name change helped us with our messaging. It didn't hinder us. So we didn't have to explain anything.
No.
We just said, this is now what we're called. And everybody's like, oh, what a relief.
Yeah.
But that's my lovely romantic narrative, Simon. What did you have to do to prepare for that rebrand?
I genuinely can't remember the order of the way any of this happened now, but it was quite quick, wasn't it? I think we went from deciding in something like, I don't know, April, to then having to have everything ready for August, because we wanted the name change in place for the new Christmas show. That was going to be the first show that would be under the new name. Well,
and the announcement that we were going to work in with Birth Theatre Royal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We wanted everything to be ready. And also, once you've made that decision, I couldn't bear Wise Children. I was definitely pushing, wasn't I, to get a move on with it. Yeah.
And it just meant that, first of all, we had to come up with a new brand. So we started, like all brand development does, we started working on a new logo, and then working on new colours and new typeface and new look and feel for what our brand was going to look like. Because in terms of the brand itself, nothing was really... the ethos of the company wasn't changing. Who we were talking to wasn't changing. So actually it was much more of a visual identity, which had to shift pretty quickly. And it gave us an opportunity to redo a lot of things. Our website had kind of... when the company started, we had a sort of 4-page website that we really quickly outgrew, and really quickly outgrew during COVID. So we had to build a new one during COVID pretty quickly. And that was getting a bit scrappy and a bit disorganised, and it was hard to update for everybody, and it was not our finest work. So this was a good opportunity to build a new website from scratch, which is quite good, because that informs kind of all your design rules that you're going to take into all the other digital platforms, and how that might translate to print. So I can't remember, it took quite a while, but once that's done, then everything else about the company has to change. So poor Steph, as head of organisations, had to change, and Merlin, who works as sort of our digital assistant and works in IT for us a bit, we had to change things like email addresses. And once you've changed email addresses, you have to change every login you've ever known.
Oh,
and
gosh, yeah.
Everything that's public-facing, or even, theatre-facing, had to change as well. So there was a sort of huge... everybody on the team had kind of a huge amount of jobs to do, whether it's kind of reissuing the staff handbook so it's got the right words in it, or whether it's new signs at TLC that say MRI's company, not Wise Children. There was a period, wasn't it, when everybody was going, as they were remembering something else that we'd forgotten. It was pretty endless for a while. But then when it did change, I mean, there's still, every now and again you come across something, you go, we still need to change that. Like the staff lanyards. But it was pretty smooth, I think, because we weren't changing the voice of the brand. We were just changing how it looked and what it was called. That's really interesting that we weren't changing the voice, because that's true, isn't it? And I actually think that was one of the real positives, is every department, I mean, it was such a team effort led by you, but every department got to sort of really affirm what they'd done and confirm what their department believed in. So it was really affirmative, wasn't it? It consolidated a lot of the work that we'd done. I mean, it's a simpler brand. It's much easier to understand and to read. But
But that's interesting that we sort of were fine-tuning the voice and simplifying the voice and strengthening the voice. Because that's really, I don't want anybody to be talking about the company name. I want the shows to be dancing on it. You know, the shows are the stars.
And also I think now, you know, the legendary Bob King did the, anybody that knows anything about British theatre graphic design, certainly, and marketing will know, or will have seen Bob King's work. Bob used to run De Winters, which was the big ad agency that dealt with all those big sort of huge iconic West End shows throughout the 80s and 90s, 2000s. And he now runs his own agency. And Bob did the original Wise Children work.
The legend that is Bob King did that secretly in the back streets of Southwark, created a brand for a company that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So, you know, what an unbelievable challenge that was, and what a beautiful piece of work he did.
It is a great piece of work. But what was interesting, so the new, whatever we did next had to live up, which is a big ask, is, you know, to live up to Bob's original work. But also knowing how we use all those things, how we use the brand and how we use the logo and how we use different typefaces across all kinds of different media has... When Wise Children started, we didn't really know what that was going to look like and how much we were going to use it. And now we know exactly where it's going to be and how much we can use it. So you can actually start to make artwork that's going to fit all those different formats that we have to work in.
I have to say, though, you did work. I mean, you are a man who can focus. And you're a man who can work long hours.
Yeah.
And I say that in the knowledge that I'm a woman that can do neither of those two things. You worked so hard at getting this right and getting it done. But my favourite moment when I felt like we were in a bit of a TV programme was when you'd done all the different fonts and you'd done a brilliant brand Bible to talk about where you were at.
Yeah.
And trying to grow the company up and allow the company and me to own the level that we're working at and the canon of work that's been created, and to not shy away from that. And you came up with this beautiful font, elegant, strong, powerful. And I looked at it and I said, well, I love that, but could it have a red nose on it? And I felt like we were in Mad Men or something, and I was Peggy Olsen coming in with it would be the other way around, wasn't it? You're Peggy.
Yeah.
I'd be Don Draper coming in to just put the red nose on it. So anyway, that's the very long story of how we changed brands. I don't like to, it's hard to say. It's very, so we call it ERC when I'm in the room, don't we? Because
internally,
internally, it's too weird to have my name said all the time, and I don't want it on a T-shirt.
And we also, everybody misspells the word company at least 10 times a day. I mean, I do.
Company.
Yeah.
That's just one of those things, isn't it?
Just one of those words.
Yeah.
When you're typing it.
But thank you. This is a really nice chance to say thank you to you. Thank you to Bob for the original design. And thank you to the whole team and the board who backed this, were brave enough to say, change the brand, create a story, allow yourselves to grow and develop. So thank you to everybody I'm surrounded by who supported, as I say, what is a lot of people would say is a mistake, but it's really proved itself not to be. What else are we going to talk about?
Well, we should probably point out if people do want to go and look at our website.
Oh, yeah?
It's imaginatively emmaricecompany.co.uk. Genius. Don't know how we came up with the website address.
I know. Well, it's like we got over creative, and now it just has to be what it is.
It's just what it is.
Are we going to talk about Christmas?
Please.
So, enough about branding, because branding's such a funny word with theatre. Let's talk about the art, talk about the soul, talk about the community, talk about the ensemble. We're week 1 into making our next Christmas show, and it's a new Christmas show, and I am skipping to work and skipping home. I am so happy. What is it, you ask?
What is it, Emma?
But there's a little bit of a long story to this as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
In that, so when we got the lucky chance, our chapel, it was not supposed to be for performance. It was supposed to be just for rehearsing and teaching. And I immediately said, let's perform in here. So we made it into a little theatre 2 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
And we did chairs and tables, and we bought 24 seats, I think, didn't we? And we did a new version of my production of The Little Matchgirl, which had been originally created at the Globe. And what that meant was that production had amazing costumes, had a script, had a lot of work done on it, had songs, although we actually wrote new songs for it, but a lot existed in that thing. And we had a tiny audience. We lost loads of money because it's the only thing that happens in that space, is that there's no way you can pay people and put on a show to a tiny audience and make money. But that's not why we do it. We do it for our community, for ourselves, for, really making sure that we're rooted and reaching out to the place that we live in. The next year we decided to do Little Match Girl again. I thought it might be, we were really busy and it had sold out the year before. We bought another set of chairs, so we had a slightly bigger auditorium.
Yeah.
We'd gone from 60 to 80.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. 60 the first year, 80 the next year. And I thought maybe it would be like the Christmas Carol and it could be a tradition and people would come and see the same show every year. Turns out people quite like seeing a different show. We still sold out. It was still amazing, but it was clear that you can't just keep putting the same show on in a tiny theatre. So the challenge was, in one of the busiest years of my life, can we create a new Christmas show on a tiny budget with very little time? And now that doesn't bother me because that's quite old school for me. That takes me back to the days, my early career days, where you just turn up with an idea, with a story and a group of people. So I was not daunted by that, but I did know you can't take on a big idea. And I didn't really want to do a Cinderella or a Sleeping Beauty. I think Frome's a really independent place that we live in. Frome doesn't want a panto. They can go to the Memorial Theatre for a great panto, or the Merlin. I feel like they're a smart, artistic crowd in Frome, and I thought we need to do something smart and artistic, and manageable, with a small budget and a short amount of time. So I do what I often do, which is I have a Google, because you just think, what is it that I'm not thinking of? And I was Googling Christmas stories and Christmas Christmas-themed poems, and up popped A Child's Christmas in Wales by Dylan Thomas, which I have to say was on my parents' bookshelf all through my childhood. But I don't think I've ever read it. I certainly don't remember it. I do remember Under Milkwood. I think we used to listen to that.
Yeah.
So I definitely knew about the lovely rhythms and thick, beautiful poetry of Dylan Thomas, and I knew of the title, and I just said, let's do that. I thought that's brilliant. It's to my knowledge at that point there hadn't been a production. I thought it was a finite piece of source material to work on, because it's a poem that takes about 20 minutes to read. But also we're so close to Wales in the southwest, and we have so many core members of staff and our team who are Welsh, not least Katie Owen, our artistic associate. And I thought, let's do it. We've got Rhys Bugler, our associate producer, who's from Wales. So we've got a lot of Welsh DNA in the company. Let's do it. So that's what we're doing. I got an amazing team of people together. Robin Sinclair, Katie Owen, Tom Fox, Simon Oscarsson, and Ian Ross composing and playing music. And they are amazing. They are funny. They are talented. And we are in old school devising. We are laughing every day. Katie has learnt the whole poem. It's amazing. And because it's not really a story, it's a sequence of happenings in this amazing poetic language. It's a real experience. It's quite relaxing. It's moving. It's got sort of traditional feel about it, but it's also got a slightly pagan feel about it. I'm absolutely loving it. And I think it's going to be quite unusual. It will be funny. It will be very visual. But I do think it's sad at the end because Dylan Thomas died at 37, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to...
Unbelievably
he died
young.
Yeah.
Of quite a complicated set of issues, but at the root of it was alcoholism. And there's a sadness in this poem as well. There's a nostalgia for a man who is not long for the world, actually. And I like to think, well, it's there in the text. We found it. So there's definitely a bit of pathos. There's some cracking carols. There's some beautiful Welsh language songs, and a lot of paper.
Well, you might need to explain that a bit more.
Well, as always, you always try and limit your palette when you're making theatre. You know, you don't want to say, and now I want... Well, I can't think of anything. Something that's like you want to have a narrow palette of things that you. So in North by Northwest, I decided quite early on that every problem had to be solved with either a suitcase or a newspaper.
Yeah.
And I've decided in this that because of Christmas, I want there to be a childlike, poetic, nostalgic feel throughout. And there's a lot of snow, and of course ripped up paper looks like snow, but actually wrapping presents.
Yeah.
I love the ritual of wrapping presents. And of course when you're a child, it's the ripping off the paper is almost the most exciting thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scissors and a lot of paper, and the wrapping of presents, the opening of presents, which is, I understand, says the woman who doesn't watch anything, is quite a thing on the internet these days.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's called unboxing.
Oh, that certainly is.
But also how to wrap. So you can do tutorials on how to wrap. And then you can watch videos of people unwrapping.
I have to say, I have watched the occasional video of how to wrap. I have. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Isn't that why, in the build-up to Christmas, on Christmas Eve, I, throw my presents into sort of, screwed up balls of sellotape and second-hand paper, and yours look like they've been made by a fine-tuned machine. And you I'm done, I'm back on the port after 45 minutes.
That's
and
true.
5 hours later, you've got the most immaculately wrapped set of presents. We are like Spiffy and Fleabag.
Which one's which?
You're Spiffy, mate.
Tell us when it's on.
I think it opens on the 25th of November.
I think you're right.
That's what I think.
It does open
And it's
on the 25th.
nearly sold out. And what I didn't say is that this year we've changed the configuration of the space. We've bought more chairs.
Yeah.
So we're up to 100.
We are up to 100, but I have to say that this year we have almost sold out. Now, there are some dates which have still got a little bit of availability, so if you're quick, you might still manage to get a ticket. And they are Wednesday the 26th of November, Sunday the 30th of November, and Friday the 5th of December, and they're all for the 7:30 shows. And we're playing till the 22nd of December, and if we do have any returns or any other tickets become available, we will put them out on social media, and we'll make sure they're up on the website.
So do come. We should record a bit of singing and put it over the top.
We should, yeah. I when you said that, I thought, do you mean me and you? But you actually mean the company, don't you?
Oh, we should really do that. You and me singing in Welsh could be quite something to behold.
Or
a
get
cappella.
us cancelled entirely, yeah.
So, thanks for listening to my ramblings about changing our company name and our fantastic, exciting, soulful Christmas show. Loads of love, everybody. Thanks
See
for
you all
listening.
soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hol am ran twyr saith ddywedant a